Hey guys, welcome back. So as you can see, I got all the other parts here, but today we're going to be focusing on stopping this thing. If you've seen the other videos, you've seen the wheels off, and you've seen that the calipers and rotors on this thing are original and in pretty crappy shape, so we're going to be giving this thing some love today. I bought some extended brake lines because the lift kit basically told you to bend the brake lines down and use a self-tapping screw and screw it into the unibody to relocate it, and I didn't really like that idea, and the original rubber lines were kind of crap, so I got this stainless brake line kit. Then I figured while we're in there, we're gonna do brake pads and we're gonna do rotors, and then they weren't that expensive, and just because, you know, I'm running bigger tires and everything, it's just some good insurance. Power Stop makes these remanufactured rotors, calipers. So they put different, better seals in it and everything, and they're nice and powder coated. So figure, hey, it's a good time to do it. So anyway, we get the wheels off and we're gonna get started. All right, well, the wheels are off, and here's what we got. This old rubber brake line, old caliper, old rotor. So go ahead and let the weight off the jack so it's sitting on the jack stands. Okay. So first order of business, I'm going to take the brake caliper off. It's always the one you didn't grab. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do first is get all this off. We got the old original brake line, old caliper, old rotor. So go ahead and get the caliper out of the way. So you got to take these two bolts out. I'm gonna get these bolts out. I'll come back with you. Okay, caliper bolts are out, so I'm gonna get this caliper off. See, the brake pads are still in pretty good shape, but everything else on here is ancient, so set that right there for a minute. Okay, now that the caliper is off, we can get the rotor off. This one, there's no other bracket or whatnot holding it on, so you just grab it and pull it off. And you can see this thing's pretty thin and pretty rusty, so it's a good thing we're changing it. Well, now we got to address the caliper because that's what's next. So this center bolt has to come off, and so does this. So what I'm going to do, since these are old, I'm going to go ahead and get a pair of vice grips, squeeze this line so when I take this bolt off, it doesn't drain all the fluid out of the reservoir. And since I'm not reusing this line, it won't be a problem. Normally I wouldn't recommend doing it because you can collapse it internally, but since this is the last time this hose is going to be used, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab them and I'll be right back. Now I'm anticipating some fluid coming out, even though I'm going to clamp this hose, so let's get this tighter. Maybe a little tighter. And not too much. There we go. That should be good. So I got to get this bolt out. Let's stick it here. Just like everything on this Jeep, it's filthy. So just need the bolts. I'm not worried about the brake hose. Let's try this. this time. So the new caliper comes with copper washers and everything, so you can't reuse these. Once you torque them, they're done. So I'm gonna put the old caliper in here, and this is what I wanted, this little bolt. So what I'm gonna do is bring it over here, and get the 14 again. Now, always a good idea to wear gloves with brake fluid. Brake fluid attracts moisture, so if you get it on your hands, I mean, it's not going to do anything major, it just dehydrates your hands really bad and it's not fun. So here's the new calipers. So I'm going to orient the hose the same way. Take 2 of these copper washers. One goes on one side of the bolt. Actually, you know, let me wipe it off a little. There we go. So, one goes on one side. Then put it through the brake hose. And then one goes on the other side. These are really nice looking calipers, and they weren't that expensive at all. So totally worth it. Just while I'm in here, do it right. I mean, I did put bigger tires on it, so, you know, brake upgrades, always a good idea if you're going bigger tires, or, you know, if you're towing or driving it hard or whatnot. So anyway, that's why I did what I did. Okay, that's on. Now, there's supposed to be a torque spec on this thing. It says 23 foot-pounds, but it's quite a bit, so we'll try that. I have a feeling if I go 23, it'll break it though, so we'll see. They didn't give me new bolts. Let's see if it's good. We'll tighten it if it leaks, but I don't want to exceed it and have a leak, so we'll do that. So, as you can see, significantly nicer. Everything's rebuilt, nice new seals. So I'm gonna take this and come over here. Now, it has these new brackets that they want you to use, and I'd assume it's supposed to go about there. So probably gonna put it there, but they're self-tappers. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to mount this new bracket. So let me get my tools and I'll come back. Okay, so caliper's good. We're gonna set it aside for now. Then we're gonna go ahead and put the rotor on and get everything on here set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it bled. So when the rotors come from the factory, they ship them with an anti-rust coating so they don't rust in the box. It used to be Cosmoline, which they used on guns and stuff that were being stored for long periods of time, but not sure if they still use that exact compound. But if you don't clean the rotors, when you start braking, that coating will burn off and it'll actually glaze the pads real bad. These are slotted, cross-drilled, and vented rotors. The other ones were just vented, so these will actually help your stopping, and they help you stop from getting what's called brake fade, which is when the brake pads get too hot, because when you're braking really hard, you'll actually get a cushion of gas that'll build up between the rotor and the brake pad, so, and that can make it so you can't stop as well. Well, these holes on here help vent that cushion of gas out, so you have better, you have more friction, which will help you stop that, and it helps keep the rotor cooler. So, I mean, it was, I don't know, a $15 price difference for both. So, it made sense to me. So this is just brake cleaner and a rag. You'll see it's usually black when it starts coming off. So, there's not too much on this one then. Once you do this, it's a good idea to get the fuzz off. I usually do that side first because that one sits on the plastic. I mean, technically you're supposed to use like a terry towel or something. This is just fine. As long as it gets the crap off the rotor, you're good. and spray the rotor too, and then wipe it off, because this is just brake cleaner, which is a degreaser, and it gets all the garbage off it. So yeah, you can see there's not too much on here. So that rotor's good, and it's labeled front passenger side. So go ahead and put this on here. And what I normally do is I'll put one lug nut on just to kind of hold it, so that when I'm putting the pads on, it doesn't try to get all cockeyed on me. So get this, and then I'm gonna go grab the brake pads. All right, now this pad comes with these different little shims, and what these are for is, on these rails over time, you can get wear, and so it can cause the brake pad to do this. This isn't that excessive. This one was a little more, so it came with this little shim to decrease the distance so it snugs it up. Well, basically, you put it on the load-bearing side of the pad, so as the wheel's turning, and this pad's back here, it's gonna wanna push the pad up into this rail, so you put this shim here so it quiets it up a whole lot. I don't have one small enough for this one, but it's pretty dang tight, so what I'm gonna do is get some brake anti-squeal, and I use it on all the stuff, and I'll show you what I do with it. All right, so this pad locks into the front of this caliper like this. So yeah, it kind of messes up the finish a little bit, but that one's locked in. And then you got this guy that pushes into the back. Well, this one I'm going to put a little bit of this on. This is like disc brake quiet. It's an anti-squeal. It keeps the pads from being able to chatter, so it gets all over, so be careful with it. You can get it at any auto parts store. I usually just put it on a couple points of contact, and wherever else it'll rub. It's more or less going in right there. And then it's an old bottle. I've had that for like 10 years. Shows how long it lasts, and I've done hundreds of brake jobs. So put this on like that. Don't get it on the front of the pad, or it'll cause a lot of problems. So make sure you get it off your finger, and you take this and just pull. And there it is, it's locked in. So did that. They gave me new caliper bolts. I know what size they are, probably 12. Okay, cool. So what we'll do is we'll take this, get that out of the way, center this on here. Actually, best bet is to push these back. You know what, this one's a little difficult, so don't know why it's doing that. Shouldn't be though, because when it goes on, that boot shouldn't be right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to try to push it in a little bit. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so got that fixed. So we're just gonna take this, go like that, push this back a little bit more. There's that one. Push this one back a little bit more. Rock it on, and then get the bolts and get them in there. Got that one. Where did he go? Oh, right there. So take that, put this one in there. Okay. It's always a good idea to check the torque on them. I know on these they don't go very tight. Pretty good. And then pull these little rubber boots back, cover the bolt. This one, the bottom one's kind of inside out, so I have to persuade it a little bit. And that's pretty much it for that. So as you can see, quite a difference. So what we got to do next is address the hydraulic system. Now, these are extended brake lines, so they're made to accommodate a lift. Now, they're made to go up to 8 inches of lift, so I don't think I'm going to need all of it, but never hurts. You just got to make sure it doesn't rub on the tire. So I'm going to go ahead and get what I need. I'll come right back. All right, so what I got to do is, this is the new bracket. Now, this bracket will go on there, and it'll hold this brake line like that. So I have to pick a good spot for it, but I also have to make sure that it'll line up with this, because that's screwing right into this, so I have to make sure I get the spacing right. And so what I can do is bring that kind of right over. So I'm gonna put it like right there and bend that out of the way. Put it like right there. So what I'm gonna do is drill a hole first. Those are self-tapping screws, but in the interest of making it a little easier, I'm gonna drill a hole here. And run that one in there. Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the screwdriver end on this thing. Okay, and then do the second one. Be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out. All right, so the bracket's nice and tight. So I'm gonna grab this, take this line, bring it up here, and put this on. Actually, you know what? Let's connect this first, then we'll deal with that. I'm just gonna put it on loosely. That's pretty much what it's gonna do, but I'm gonna need to get a wrench that fits that, so I'll be right back. Okay, so gotta get this off. So I already sprayed it with PV Blaster. Try to loosen it up. I am gonna spray it with brake cleaner, get all the dirt out. There's a lot of tools out right now, but you gotta do what you gotta do. There we go. So I have this here to catch all the, it's gonna come out. So let's get my flare nut wrench. I thought it was over there. Now this wrench is specifically designed for brake lines. You can see it's really thick right here, and it's got a slit right here that you have to slide over the line. It's made so that it doesn't strip it out as easy as another kind would. Standard open end. So, okay, we're on there. There's no nut on here, unfortunately, to hold on to, so I'm gonna try to use this little pair of channel locks to hold it. See if I can break it loose. So let's see. Ah, crap. It's stripping. All right, gotta try something else. Be right back. Let's try this. Went on there a little better. So, hold that. And turn these around. Catch that little lip on there. Crap. feels like it wants to strip, so I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. I'll be back. All right, well, it really tried its best to strip, but I was able to get a little crescent wrench on there. So now it's on. So I'm just gonna put the little clip in. We should be good on this side. All right, so, I mean, it's really crappy angle, but as long as I can get that in there. Here we go. That's all she wrote. Just got to make sure that the tire doesn't try to rub this guy. If it does, I'll have to figure out a way to put it elsewhere, but this side's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and yeah, we should be good. So I'll show you when I'm done with the other side, and we're gonna have to go ahead and bleed them. All right, now this side is done too. So I already got this hooked up and I already bled the brakes. Now, what you need to do is when you install new calipers or a new master cylinder, you got to bleed everything. So the way I do it is you have an assistant get in the car, you make sure the master cylinder, which is right here, is completely full of fluid. Now what I do before that is I'll usually suck it out with a vacuum pump or something, get all the dirty stuff out, then fill it with clean fluid. Then you come down here and you take a hose and go from here to a water bottle or something, and you take the hose and you run it into the water bottle, and you add a little bit of brake fluid to the water bottle and make sure that the end of the tube is under the brake fluid. So you put your wrench on here like this, and you have the person in the car ready to push, and so you break the screw loose and you tell them push, and then when they get to the bottom they say bottom. So you basically say push and they go, they depress the pedal and they say bottom, and then you'll start seeing air come out, and then you close the screw and then you tell them take their foot off, and then when it's up they say up, and then you go back and forth. So what happens is basically you're opening the screw, they're pushing the pedal down, and then when it gets to the bottom you close the screw, so when they take their foot off it's pulling fluid from the master cylinder reservoir and not pulling air back from this, because if you just left the screw open and they went back and forth, all it would do is just move the air slug back and forth in the system. So you basically crack it, have them push down, and then while their foot's down you tighten it, then they take their foot off, and then when they're back up you crack the screw and then they go down again, and you just keep doing that back and forth until you get all the air bubbles out. And then you can go to the other side, and the true way to do it is you start from the furthest away. So in this one it would be the right rear, or it'd be the rear passenger, rear driver, then front passenger, and then front driver. And you just do that basically if you need to bleed the whole car, which is recommended because, like I said earlier, brake fluid likes water, it's attracted to water, so it'll absorb the water to keep it from rotting out your brake system, but over time that water just getting moved back and forth will actually pollute the brake system and cause the seals to go bad. And if there's a whole lot of it in there, like say you forget to put the reservoir top on or something, it will eventually corrode the brake system. So that's why, like, you know, maybe every 30,000 miles, it's always a good idea to suck the reservoir out and then add new fluid and then do your bleeding procedure so that it has all brand new fluid that's pushing out the old stuff. So on the back of the Jeep, there's another braided line I need to put on. And so basically it's where the hard line splits and goes to the axles. I'm not gonna do that right now because it's starting to get dark and I need to clean up, but I'm gonna do that at some point, and it's pretty much the same thing, so I'll probably document that too. But there's some other things I need to do also. I need to do the front drive shaft, and then I need to do all the rest of the stuff in the box. So I'm definitely gonna document it all, definitely, you know, make it easy for you guys to follow along. And in the comments, let me know if you'd like me to do any projects that you're not sure how to do. You know, if I need to do the fan clutch on here, or you know, I'm gonna do the water pump at some point because I have one in there, you know, or the alternator or battery terminals. You know, leave notes in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see. If it's not on this vehicle, I can probably do it on one of the other ones, because like I said, I built this channel for people to learn. So if you want to see something, let me know. At some point I'm gonna put a stereo in here, you know, just something basic. Like I said, I'm gonna put the CB radio in here. I gotta fix the AC in here because it's not 100% working right now. I mean, it is, but it's not perfect. And then I'm gonna replace the driver's seat, you know, steam clean the interior, convert it to LEDs, do all sorts of things on this. You know, it was a pretty cheap Jeep. It wasn't that expensive. I mean, I did put, you know, a nice lift kit on it. You can piece something together from the junkyard You know, they call them, you know, budget boosts, and you can buy, you know, used kits. People have one that's totaled and they're taking stuff off, or they lost interest and whatnot. So there's multiple ways to build something, you know, on the cheap. But, you know, the lift was the most expensive part on here, you know, besides the tires. And then, and yeah, I mean, once that's on, I mean, I'm gonna put a light bar on it and do all that stuff, then just take it out and enjoy. I mean, I just want to get out and, you know, hang out with different people, get to know different, you know, off-roading clubs and different groups and people that do that, because it's just fun to just get out and kind of, you know, blaze your own trail. So anyway, I'll definitely take you along. So this is done. You know, this brake procedure is pretty much the exact same on any vehicle with hydraulic brakes. You can have drum brakes in the back if it's an older vehicle, and you know, unfortunately, I don't have a vehicle here with drums, or I'd show you how to do it. They're kind of a pain in the butt, but it is a nice skill to know. But, you know, this thing has discs on the back. At some point, I'm going to do the same thing on the back. You know, get new calipers and rotors and everything, and then it'll be straight. But, yeah, so now you know how to do a brake job. I mean, it's the same thing short of replacing this line in the caliper. You just pull the caliper off, take the rotor off, change the pads, clean the rotor, put it back on, and you're done. You know, you just have to, if it's an existing caliper, chances are the piston in the caliper will be out. This is your brake caliper. The piston will be out because the pads are worn down. So what you need to do is you have to take a C-clamp and put it on the piston and squeeze the piston in to make room for your new brake pads, because they'll be thicker. But yeah, other than that, still the same. One of the main things to remember is when you do a brake job, you will obviously, like I said, have to compress the caliper before you take it off the jacks, before you take the e-brake off, before you move the car. Start the vehicle and pump the brakes, because what will happen is if you compress the calipers and you don't pump the brakes, it'll take 2, 3, maybe even 4 pumps for the brake pedal to get hard and for the brake system to repressurize. And say you're rolling out of your driveway and you have no brakes, you can get T-boned or something. So make sure before you move the vehicle or take the e-brake off, just pump, pump, pump until the brake pedal gets hard, just to make sure. You don't want to find out the hard way. So see, this one took about 6. So yeah, just, it's better safe than sorry. Don't find out the hard way. So anyway, guys, yeah, look forward to doing more videos with you, and comment if you'd like to. Stay put. Thanks. Bye.